Top of the Sportsman Zone for this Monday. 4 of the 6 men charged with committing grievous harm on World Javelin Champion Anderson Peters pleaded guilty in a Grenadian court earlier on Monday. The charge against the cruise operations manager Abiola Benjamin, though, was dropped after video footage convinced the court that he was trying to separate those who were involved in the brawl. The 6th man, sailor Lance Wiggins, pleaded not guilty and was allowed to leave court. Now, the 4 men who pleaded guilty will return to court on Wednesday for sentencing. Peters broke his silence on the issue, posting a message on his Facebook page over the weekend. And here's what Peters said. Hello, everyone. The past few days have been a roller coaster for me, from being excited to return home after 2 great competitions to being quickly ripped of such excitement, replaced with pain and discomfort. I know that you're all concerned about my well-being, so please know that I'm feeling better than I was in the immediate aftermath, but it will be a long road to recovery. Whilst I'm concerned about my well-being, I do ask for your positive thoughts to my brother, Kidon Peters, who also suffered from this dehumanizing act. It's a very challenging time for us as a family. However, by God's grace, we know that things will get better. On my behalf and that of my family, I say thank you to all citizens of Grenada, all persons near and far who have expressed your deep concerns since this occurrence. To all organizations, clubs, and fraternities, thank you. Thank you for standing with me during this difficult time. To everyone who lent a hand and even risked their own safety on the night of the incident, thank you for all that you did, especially thanking my parents and family, my coach, my bank family, my club, and my sports family for the outpouring of support. Thank you for praying, sending well wishes, and for reaching out in many ways to provide support. My family and I appreciate all of this, and in some sense, this energizes us to be hopeful for better days to come. Anderson Peters. Meanwhile, former Attorney General in Grenada, Cajetan Hood, says Peters may be the subject of a private criminal proceeding as early as Tuesday. Now, George and Mariah, we've been discussing this since the incident every day on the Sportsman Zone show, and the news coming through today about pleading guilty, 4 of them, not all 6, as we've just portrayed to our viewers. And I guess everyone is now waiting for Wednesday and sentencing. Or is there something else that we should talk about, based on Cajetan Hood and the former Attorney General, about the possible twist in this story?
Well, I would say, and I said it at the top of the show, that, I'm happy to see the investigation taking place quickly, because that's something that I always have reservations with. Matters like this taking extremely long, and I think it's mainly because of who Anderson Peters is, and of course the fact that it was caught on video and whatnot. So that's one good thing that I can take away from this situation. George and Lance, though, what I did see before this had happened over the weekend, a message from the TNT sailor, where he was basically, putting out how he felt and saying that Anderson Peters was the person to actually attack them first and whatnot. So that was the first time I had heard that side of the story, of course. But today, the proceedings taking a different level, and I look forward to, Lance, for Wednesday. Yeah,
trying to get the statement that you're referring to.
Yeah, because that brought a different light, right?
Yeah, well, different. Yeah, I'd agree, different.
Yeah, because for me, I always like to hear different aspects of any story while we wait for the statement. It's always good to hear from different parties, and we were only hearing from the coach. We saw the video, which didn't look good at all, but when I saw the message from the captain, to me, that kind of stood out, because it just gave a whole different angle.
Well, what's a different perspective you got? We're trying to get it up for you.
Well, he was just basically saying that, they were attacked, which to me, I felt as if they were obviously Anderson was obviously outnumbered. So for a group of you who were there with armed and with an entire team to say that you were attacked, to me, it just had me a bit confused.
Well, what I do know from doing these things in another way is that when you see a clip of a video, it's never even half of the story. It's just a piece of the story.
Yeah.
Which is why in matters concerning that, the public often says, well, there's a video showing a part of the incident, why doesn't the prosecution proceed on that? And then the prosecution will say, well, we need to, of course, establish chain of custody of the footage, and then find the device that the footage was recorded on, so we can authenticate, and then look at the whole of the footage, not just piece. So the message from the captain raises doubts about the conclusions that persons would have drawn based only on the piece of footage that has gone viral, because he's saying that there are aspects of the situation that weren't caught on tape, which he did not say justify, but which caused the situation to escalate into what we saw. That being said, I mean, that's for the chief magistrate to sort out when he summons him on Wednesday. What I'd like to say is this. Immediately I was thinking to myself, well, the way we started the discussion was to talk about the fact of the age-old tactic. I mean, those with courtroom experience or even news reporting experience would know that there is a credit that is usually given to persons in a situation where it's an open and shut case against them and they plead guilty early and say, well, Your Honor, I'd like you, the attorney would say, Your Honor, I'd like you to credit my client because they didn't waste the court's time. They pleaded guilty and they're throwing themselves at the mercy of the court. I've been in the court a few times and heard lawyers make some fantastic pleadings on behalf of clients who appear as guilty as they. And the first thing when you're seeking clemency, when you're seeking lenience, is to put that up front. Your Honor, we're not even wasting your time. My client is guilty, but I want you to consider that he has family, this, that these are the extenuating circumstances. He did not mean to act in this way, and so we're asking you for mercy when you go to pass judgment. The other thing is, I couldn't find at the time what it is that Grenada's law prescribed for persons found guilty in situations like this. I subsequently found it, but I was leaning heavily on what Jamaica's Offences Against the Persons Act, Section 43 said, and if I can be indulged to just look at it quickly and then tell you that, well, the first thing to say is that St. Lucia and Jamaica would have a similar prescription for a charge such as causing harm. What the charges are: causing harm, Grenada, causing harm, causing violent harm, and causing grievous harm. Three things. It would be similar because of the English common law and where these countries are coming from. So the Jamaican Offences Against the Persons Act, Section 43 says, whosoever shall be convicted upon an indictment of any assault occasioning actual bodily harm shall be liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years, with or without hard labor, and whosoever shall be convicted upon an indictment for a common assault shall be liable to be imprisoned for a term not exceeding 1 year. Now, what they're charged with is not common assault, but common assault and grievous bodily harm. So 3 years. So that's what the Jamaican law says. The Grenadian Criminal Code, which I subsequently stumbled upon, says that whoever intentionally and unlawfully causes harm to any person shall be liable to imprisonment for 3 years, and whoever intentionally and unlawfully causes grievous harm to any person shall be liable to imprisonment for 5 years. So whereas the Jamaican law prescribes 3 to a range of 1 to 3 for these offences, the law in Grenada, the Criminal Code, prescribes between 3 and 5. Now, it is left to the magistrate and in his judgment, in his adjudication, to determine what sentence to slap onto the men. But we can say from what is on paper that the range that they're likely to face is between 3 and 5.
I just have a question, and I don't know if we'll have the answer for it, but these trainees that were involved in the altercation, is it that they live in Grenada, like work in Grenada?
Well, no, there are seafarers, so they work with the boat. So the boat is itinerant; it goes around.
Docks there,
wherever
they go,
wherever
the
they
harbour
go.
master goes there.
Right. So they're with the crew. So that is it. But I'm keen. I hope. I think. I don't expect the chief magistrate, and no, I have to be careful. I have to abandon that because it's before the court, so you have to be careful. But you know what I'd like to see in this case, since the guilty plea has come, and the plea of mitigation will be made by the attorneys, I'm sure, upon sentencing, if the magistrate allows them to speak before he passes hands on his sentence, that, you know, the judge could exercise some leniency to say, well, I appreciate that you didn't waste our time. The video is bad. He should admonish them in the strongest terms, but, you know, maybe the maximum won't be applied. But, of course, we aren't judges. But, you know, I think the lesson has been learned. But a strong penalty has to be set down for what happened. They could have killed the man. And it doesn't matter that whoever started it or however it started.
Yeah.
What we saw, two men, especially one who was in the foreground, Anderson Peters, had the you-know-what being kicked and punched out of him.
Yeah,
Doesn't look good.
A quick query, George. We still didn't see the captain's response, which, as Mariah said, suggested that Peters and his brother had been the aggressors, and they were pretty much reacting to the aggression of Peters. Do you consider that narrative incongruous to them pleading guilty today, the four of them?
Well, no, because what the harbour master said was that, let me break it down. We beat them up because they started it. That's what he said.
Yeah.
We beat them up. So he was not denying that they beat them up. Well, he couldn't because it's on tape.
Yeah.
The problem I have with the statement, and I thought that was where Mariah was going, the harbour master said that unless there exists a different video from a different angle, he said Peters lost his footing and fell off the boat. Now, Mr. Producer, may it please you to give us that part of the footage again, because I was gobsmacked when he said that. Lost his footing and fell off the boat. That's not what I saw. That's not what... Nobody who I know who watched the video saw that. So I don't know about that part. But to answer your question, Lance, he was just saying... So this is what... So look at Anderson now. He stands. Yeah, he didn't lose his footing. He was shoved into the water, off the boat. Yeah? So, yeah. But I think what he was saying essentially was that we beat them up because they started it. And what is true is that the judge may say, well, look, the force that you used, the extent that you went to in trying to get them off the boat, was it proportional or proportionate to what they were doing to try to stay on the boat? And how do you reconcile 4 or 5 persons, 4 in this instance who pleaded guilty, 4 of you against 2 men, the force that you were using against the force that they were using, was it proportionate? And did you need to pitch him off the boat in the way you did? It's in the hands of the Chief Magistrate.
Yeah.
Well, Wednesday, come soon.